There are dreams that I have dreamt over the years that have stayed with me in great detail. And not just because they were in some way extraordinary. I do believe some of them were, but because they really shaped the way that I look at consciousness and relationships and even the depth of the astral plane as the non-physical universe. So I thought I would do something different with today's video and share some of those dreams with you and talk a little bit about what they taught me. So thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to share space with me. My name is Christine from Kyanite Psychic Services, and I love to help sensitive and creative souls build confidence and trust in their connection with spirit. You can find out more about me at kyanitepsychic.com. So the first few dreams I'm going to share with you have to do with family in some way and relationship. The first dream has to do with ancestral connection. And I know that the connection we have with our ancestors is real. And many of you will also agree with me that have your own practices of honoring and communicating with your ancestors. But this dream really solidified it for me. Long story short, over the past couple of years, I've been exploring my maternal ancestors and heritage. My paternal side, being Sicilian or Italian American, has been very emphasized, and I love it. I'm so proud of it. But my mom's family, many of them come from what is now today Slovenia and Croatia, that whole area of the world. So I've been digging into the language, into the culture. I made a trip out there. I know I'm going to go out there again, and it's been a really big part of my own journey and healing personally. So in this dream, which happened in the beginning of 2025, so it's fairly recent, um, it was not all rainbows and butterflies at all, right? I was traveling through rubble, like wreckage, like, like bombed out building, debris, dust, dirt everywhere, chaos, right? It's like there were people running around, yelling, all kinds of stuff. And I knew I was looking for family. I didn't know who they were, I didn't know their names, right? But I knew I was looking for my family. And so I was traveling through all of this rubble and moving stuff out of the way, climbing over things. I remember that very vividly. And it was some kind of like underpass, right? Where I knew they were my family and they were just, hiding out, waiting for things to calm down, right? And they were safe. And so I found them and we kind of like did this huddle together, like held each other, which was really powerful. I'll try not to get emotional. It was very emotional, of course, when it happened. Um, and they were speaking to me in the dream. They weren't speaking in English. And that really stuck with me. Um, at that time and still right now in 2026, like my knowledge of those languages is very much beginner level, very beginner. So I knew that they told me that they loved me because I know what those words are. And I knew they told me they were happy to see me because again, I have those words in my vocab bank, right, in my head. Um, but then they started saying a whole bunch of other things to me that I could maybe grab a word or two of. I don't know entirely to this day what they were saying to me, but they were very excited to be able to at least see me and talk to me. It felt so tangible, and holding them felt so tangible. And then I woke up and that dream stayed with me. It still stayed with me. I definitely shed a few tears, just a little bit, um, when that happened, because the love and connection that you have with your ancestors, it transcends time and space when you're on the astral. And that, connection with language really showed me that, we're in the eternal present and that love and understanding is real. And some of you might be familiar with um, the history of that area of the world. There's been a lot of conflict, and I do believe that I was stepping into what we would say is the past and meeting them in the past. But of course, when we're in the astral, there is only the eternal present. So we were meeting each other there. The second dream, it's another type of family dream, is also it was very emotional at the time, but I can talk about it in a more level way now. Had to do with my dad and my siblings. So my dad passed in 2012. It's been quite some time. This dream took place, I want to say maybe 29, 21, somewhere around there. Like I think it was a little bit after COVID. Anyhow, it'd been a while since he passed. And long story short, my siblings and I found out after my dad passed that we had another sibling, which is something I think that's a little bit more common nowadays that there's all that, DNA and ancestry and testing that goes on, right? So there's a lot of wondering on our part, of course, did my dad know him? Had he ever met him before? Did he know he existed? And all these questions that were unanswered. And my dad is still comes up in my dreams quite a lot. He's very chatty. Um, and so in this dream, we were in a car. It's my, other siblings and my dad and myself going to meet this other family member that he was telling me in the dream he hadn't met before. And he was really nervous, understandably so. So we're driving to their house, which I have been to. So it was all, I was seeing the route, in the place. We get to the house and park the car, and we get out in this dream. And he looks at me and he says, I don't think I'm ready to meet them yet. But when I am, I'll let you know. And then I woke up. So for me, that dream really confirmed two things. One, that he hadn't had a relationship. He didn't know that, my sibling existed, right? And the other, that relationships that we have with loved ones, and I'm sure many of you have had similar experiences, they don't end when someone passes. They continue and continue very much in the astral. I've had many experiences communicating with my dad, specifically in dreams, where we've been building on our relationship and doing a lot of healing in my dream space, and that has been invaluable to me. So, I hope that brings comfort to many of you as well that have lost someone maybe early on or you're young that you love. You can absolutely continue the healing and connection with these people, in due time on the astral plane. Some other dreams that I've had that are relationship based have showed me that we have our own individual dream space, astral space, but then we also have these shared spaces where we communicate with each other, where our dreams and our realities intersect. So there are two dreams that have stuck with me that kind of fall into this category, I suppose. One was with my grandmother. So again, another family thing. Um, I had a dream where we were having a family get together and certain things happened and certain people were present in this dream. And I thought it was really interesting. So, after I woke up from the dream, I called my grandma up on the phone. She's still alive, right? And I said, Hey, I had a dream last night. And I started to describe it. I got a couple sentences in, and she cut me off and started describing the rest of the dream. So that was the first time that has ever happened to me. And with my grandmother and I, it's happened a couple times since. But it showed me that you can share astral space with people, especially when they're close family relationships. My grandma and I are quite close. You can share astral space with other people, and that shared experience is absolutely real. So another example that's not family of shared astral space. Um, this is going to sound maybe a little funny to you all, but the guy that I dated in high school, so that was a long time ago. But I was friendly with his parents when we were together. We had, I would say, a good relationship for the years that we were together. But I haven't talked to them since then, right? So 20 years or so, I'll date myself. But anyway, had a dream where I was calling them up on the phone. Like, doo-doo-doo. Anyway, I called them up on a landline, which I thought was hilarious too, because who has those anymore? But anyway, I called them up and I was talking with them, and they were telling me about what they were doing. That they were really excited that they bought some land in a certain part of the country, and they were building a tiny house on the land, and they were just like really jazzed to tell me everything about it. And I was excited for them, and then I woke up from the dream. So I messaged, my ex, like, hey, I had this dream. It was really funny, and your parents were telling me blah, 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 blah. And he writes me back eventually, oh, that's what they're doing right now. That's crazy. So that was a really big validation that there are these shared astral spaces. And it's funny, I think that dream was some sort of personal, I think, a gateway of, conscious awareness, like an expansion for me, because since then, not often, but occasionally, I'll have dreams where people I haven't talked to in a really long time will just come and tell me some personal details. And I don't go and verify all of them because some would be a little awkward circumstance. But I know, I'm like, okay, I'm just getting that update because we're still in relationship on the astral. A beautiful thing that I'll share with you all too is that, and I've noticed this in client work too, looking at clients' astral spaces and what's going on in relationships on the earth plane and then on the astral, that sometimes too, the astral gives us this beautiful opportunity to say what has been left unsaid and to, continue and communicate and to heal, right? Sometimes we might not be able to talk to the person in the physical. Maybe they have passed on, like, with my dad, or maybe it's not a comfortable relationship, it's not amicable, right? But sometimes we're able to have the healing in our dreams. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. So the last dream story that I'm going to share with you um, was very shocking to me when it happened. And it has more to do with the astral body and the connection between the astral body and the physical body. Something that I learned before I described the dream in my training that I've had that resonated with me is that the astral body is often closely resembling the physical body. And when you make changes to the astral body, those changes over time can manifest in the physical body and vice versa. So it's a two-way street, right? So there was a season in my spiritual practice in life where you could say I was fighting some astral battles. Was having some like intense dreams on, you could say, like lower vibrating levels of the astral plane, right? And I got into this battle with, um, I'll just say a non-physical being. And it was a very, so it's like a physical battle because I was aware of my astral body. I could see my hands and I knew, it was like fighting with weapons and everything. It was really intense. And in this dream, this being kind of punched me in the face. It's not funny, but I think I can laugh about it now. Like they punched me kind of right here in the face. And I remember feeling it and that it hurt. Um, and, eventually I woke up from the dream. And I didn't wake up in a feeling disempowered. I knew that there was a purpose and maybe a subject of a whole other video, but I didn't wake up feeling disempowered, but I was really, really, really tired. Like my body was really tired physically. So I get up, go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and I realize that there is this mark on my face, like right there, the same place where I was punched in the face in the dream. And I was really shook because it's the first time I ever had an experience like that. Um, and I did do a lot of energy clearing and protective work, to cover my bases and to re-energize myself. So I was okay, right? But this dream really taught me that, um, first of all, yes, there is a connection between the astral body and the physical body. And also that sometimes, um, and this is something that I look at in meditation and classes that I teach, we have this filter, you could say, between the astral body and the physical body. Some of the information and experiences, right, can travel through, pass through from the astral to the physical, and some are filtered out. So, for example, to back this up, like if you were in your dreams shape-shifting into different animals and whatnot, you're not going to wake up in the physical and be those animals. There's this filter on your astral body. So it's, not allowing all of that. Maybe the essence of those experiences and the knowledge, but not the physicality. Okay, so this dream where I ended up with this, mark on my face showed me that maybe the filter that I have is in need of a healing because too much is passing through from the astral into my physical body. So that's something that I worked on over time in meditation. For those of you that have maybe had something similar happen to them, you may want to go into meditation and look at that connection between the astral body and the physical body. Is it in need of a healing? So, those are some of the dreams that I've experienced. And I want to thank you just for sharing space and allowing me this opportunity to connect with you all in this way. And I would love to hear from you because I love talking about dreams and listening to people's dreams. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the memorable dreams that you've had? And what have they taught you about consciousness and about the richness of the non-physical worlds? And I also invite you to start documenting your dreams, how it resonates, maybe voice notes, maybe you have a journal, maybe you've got Google Docs, I don't know. But it can be helpful to write these things down. And, when I experienced all these dreams, I didn't immediately contemplate the whys or the lessons learned. It took a while for the experiences to sink in. So the more that you're able to sit with, your dreams and you have a record of them, you can integrate and synthesize all of these experiences. So thank you so much for being here. Be blessed, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video.